How statutes are published. When laws are originally passed, they're published just as enacted as slip laws, which are simply individual copies of the law it was enacted. These individual laws are arranged chronologically in collections called session laws. That is, they are all the individual laws of a particular legislative session. Federal laws are labeled as public or private and are numbered consecutively within the Congress in which they were enacted. So the revision of the Copyright Act, which is the law we see here, is Public Law 94-553. That means it's the 553rd law passed by the 94th Congress. Public law. It was signed by the President on October 19, 1976, and in the upper right-hand corner, we can see its citation in the Federal Session Laws, a set of books called Statutes at Large. This law begins on page 2541 of Volume 90 of Statutes at Large. Session laws can still be found in books, both the official Statutes at Large and the unofficial United States Code Congressional and Administrative News called USCAN, which is considerably more up-to-date than the official Statutes at Large and which is also available on Westlaw. But session laws themselves are available in a large number of electronic sources. The one I'd like to call your attention to is Hein Online, which has PDF images of the Statutes at Large all the way back to Volume 1, which makes them very useful as a substitute for print. Federal session laws, as I said, are also available in text format on Lexis and Westlaw and a lot of other research platforms, and sometimes even through Lexis and Westlaw in PDF format. States also have session law compilations for their statutes, although the titles may vary. Here we see the Massachusetts session laws, called Acts and Resolves of Massachusetts, and the West Virginia session laws, the Acts of the Legislature of West Virginia. The simplest way to figure out the name of publication of a given jurisdiction is to check Table 1 of the Blue Book. Here we can see the actual title of the book as well as how to format a session law from that state. Hein has PDFs of virtually all state session laws in its Session Laws library. The other form of statutory publication, which is probably the one you are most familiar with because it's the one we use most in legal research, is the code. A code is a topical arrangement of all the permanent general laws in force. How difficult would it be to find all of the applicable current laws on a given subject if they were just arranged chronologically? Luckily, we don't have to do that because there are codes. The first one in this picture is the official United States Code. It's published in a new edition every 6 years and updated yearly with interim supplements. It's available online through FedSys, the electronic publishing platform of the Government Publications Office. The second volume is the U.S. Code Annotated. That's published by West and is available electronically on Westlaw. United States Code Service, the third book, is published by Lexis and available electronically on their research platform. The unofficial versions of the code are much more up-to-date than the official version, even in the electronic forms. And the other real advantage for research purposes for using USCA and USCS is their annotations. These are references to cases that have interpreted particular code sections. And also, they contain references to other helpful secondary sources like treatises and law review articles. Let's take a look at the components of the U.S. Code Annotated. The state codes and other federal codes will generally have the same elements and follow very similar organizational patterns. But typically, the constitution for the jurisdiction will be first. In a state code, there's usually both the federal and state constitutions in the front. Then are the actual statutes arranged by subject. U.S. Code Annotated and U.S. Code Service both contain court rules. USCA places them at the end of the statutes, and USCA places them after the related statutes. Court rules for some states can be found in their annotated codes, but many states publish their court rules in other places. The main access point to any code in print is the index, or the popular name table. And then there's also tables volumes, which can be very, very helpful when you're trying to track changes to a statute. The U.S. Code is broken into major subdivisions called titles, and there are currently 54 titles in the U.S. Code, but other codes may use different terminology for its major subdivisions. Some states, like Massachusetts, call them chapters. Some call them articles. Some call them titles like the federal code. And then there's a group of states, which include California, New York, and Texas, which have something called nominative codes. Instead of numbering titles or articles, or chapters, the major subdivisions have names, like the Civil Code, or the Education Code, or the one shown here, the Penal Code. Again, your best tool for finding both the names of statutory codes and deciphering the proper citation forms is your Blue Book Table T1. So laws are published as enacted as session laws, and they are published in a topical arrangement called a code. There are 4 basic ways that a newly enacted session law can affect a code. And in fact, any given law passed by a legislature might do one or all of these things. First, it might amend an already existing statute section. Second, it might add a brand new section to the code that wasn't there before. Additionally, it might repeal an existing code provision. And finally, some session laws or parts of session laws have no effect on the code at all because they're neither permanent nor general. The Office of the Law Revision Council, the agency that maintains the official U.S. Code, are the people who will decide where in the code the new provisions should go based on their subject matter. They run a free website that includes a very usable up-to-date version of the U.S. Code, as well as a number of very useful research aids. One of these is the popular name table, which can be incredibly helpful if you're given the name of an act but no citation. I highly recommend the use of their site as a research tool that's available to everyone.